Welcome everybody to Law Sports Rhetoric. I'll be your host today, Daimon, and today I'm going to be talking about another one of my segments in what I'm looking forward to in 2022. This is talking about college football, and more specifically the teams and players that I'm looking forward to in this upcoming season. If you haven't seen one of my other videos in this segment, one of my other segments in this, then basically what this is I love watching football, college football, all day Saturday. So, I'm watching it from noon until 1 in the morning. And on 3 different TVs, actually, usually. And so it's, how do I determine what games I want to watch? Well, there's certain teams and certain players that are going to always find their way on my TV. And those are usually the most exciting players. Sometimes it has to do with my college team. And then there's always my favorite teams. There's certain teams that I like more than others, certain coaches. So that's kind of what the segment is, going conference by conference and just telling you the guys that I'm interested in. And usually it changes every year. Like there's some teams that, maybe I've liked in the past, but either the coach moves on or they were I only watched them because of a specific player. Like case in point, when Josh Allen was at Wyoming, I watched a few Wyoming games that year because I knew how good Josh Allen was going to be. So something like that. I don't watch Wyoming games anymore. At least I haven't in the last couple of years. So this segment today is going to be the Pac-12. So we'll talk about the teams and the players in the Pac-12 that I'm interested in watching for this upcoming season. We're going to start that with USC. Obviously, I live in Oklahoma City, and around here, Lincoln Riley exit to USC was quite the news story, and so I'm very curious to see how he fits in the Pac-12. Taking that offense, and then how quickly can he build it? The recruiting and the transfers were immediate and a lot of them. So, how quickly can they get things rolling? You would think very quickly, but we'll wait and see. If they do get things rolling, then, Caleb Williams from here, that is really good second half of the season. They brought in a ton of wide receivers. So it'd be interesting to see who all transitions quickly and how explosive does that offense end up being right off the bat. Also, Oregon, I think, is an interesting team. They bring in another team with a new head coach, bringing in the defensive coordinator from Georgia, and they brought in Florida State's offensive coordinator, Kelly Dingham, and then paired him with one of his former quarterbacks that he had when he was before Florida State, when he was at Auburn. He was there with Bo Nix. They had decent success together. So now they're reunited, and do they light the Pac-12 on fire? Does Oregon get back to being one of the top teams in the Pac-12? I think that's an interesting storyline. Obviously, if you've seen some of our other videos, you know that my brother's a huge Oregon fan, and we'll have a video coming down the road where he gets more in depth about that team and talks more about that. But I definitely will be checking them out. I probably would anyway because of my brother, but I do think it's an interesting storyline with the new coaching staff coming in. Another team that I'm very interested to watch this year is UCLA. When Chip Kelly first got hired there, I thought that's a great hire for them. He should, most of his success at Oregon with recruiting came from the state of California. So I figured once he got to UCLA, he would kill it with recruiting. That style of play seemed like, obviously if it could work at Oregon, you would think it would work at UCLA. So I've been kind of surprised at the slow build of that it didn't just take off right away. But it felt like last year they kind of got started to hit their stride, and Dorian Thomas Robinson obviously played really well last year, and I think he could even be better this year. And then you pair that with the running back that transferred from Michigan, Charbonnet, and I think that that pair is going to be a lot of fun to watch. So especially when they're playing against USC and some of the other better teams in that conference, it'd be really interesting to watch their games. Another team I'm interested in is Washington. They hired a former, again, if you're not familiar with the other videos, in addition to being a Florida State fan, I'm a huge IU basketball fan, so I also kind of follow that football team. Well, Washington, hired a former offensive coordinator from IU, and much like with Bo Nix, he is now paired with one of his former quarterbacks in Michael Penix, who had an interesting career at IU. At times was spectacular and at times wasn't. So I'm very curious to see what they do what that pair does at Washington, and can they get them back on track of being one of the better teams in the Pac-12. So that's definitely a team I'll be checking out as well. Another team is Utah. Utah, I feel like, even though they might not be as fun to watch from a like light up the scoreboard standpoint, their defense is fun to watch, and they constantly put players in the NFL. So I'm always checking out. I'm always trying to watch Utah when they're playing those high octane offenses in the Pac-12 to see, some guys that are going to be drafted. Like you can almost guarantee at least 3 of the guys in their defense are going to go in the NFL draft in the spring. So watching how they do, especially against the higher octane offenses, is always a good thing. And then last year they had, their quarterback Cameron Rising looked really good, and they also have a running back named Thomas that's really good. So I think this, Utah could be a really good team this year. And while these other teams have new coaches and they're fun, exciting storylines, Utah still might be the best team in the Pac-12. They might win the whole thing behind Cameron Rising. So that'll be an interesting team. I think any of those, when those teams are playing each other, any of that group that I just named when those teams are playing each other, will definitely be a game to check out, because those should be some fun, exciting games. And one last one that I'm kind of interested in is Oregon State. Year in and year out, they always have like a good running back. I don't know who the running back this year is going to be, but they usually are fun to watch just because they have that running game, and you can usually find you a future NFL running back when you're watching them play. So I'll probably check them out once or twice, see what the running back situation is doing with them. Other than that, the rest of the league just does not interest me. Both the Arizona schools seem like one has a new coach, I believe, So Herm Edwards, that seems like it's not going so good for good old Herm, which is surprising. I actually thought that was an interesting hire when it happened. And then I believe Arizona has a new coach, or their second year. They're not an interesting team to me. And then also with Washington State, I don't know. They were fun when Mike Leach was there, but since he's left, it's kind of hard to get into them. And then Cal and Stanford both. I don't know. I used to love watching Stanford play when Harbaugh and Andrew Luck was there. That was must-see TV. Toby Gerhart was awesome. They always had good running backs, but it just seems like the last few years they're just not the same. They're just not what they were. So I don't know. For the most part, I actually have a hard time watching a lot of Pac-12 football, but there are a few teams there, and they're it's good to watch them late at night. So I would definitely be checking out the ones that I mentioned. And then for the rest of the league, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. They're just not that interesting right now. So anyway, that's what I'm looking forward to watching. If I miss somebody, if there's a team or a player that you think is really good that I didn't talk about, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to find out, about a guy that I should know about that I don't. One thing I forgot to mention about Utah too that I love about Utah is their tight ends. I was going to say this, and I forgot. I always like good tight end play, and Utah's got 2 of them that are really good that I think have the potential to be NFL players down the road. So that's another thing really interesting to check out about Utah. If you're a big tight end guy, me and my brother both like the tight end position. Something about seeing a 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" guy running down the middle of the field, catching the ball and knocking down a safety, that's just fun to watch. So Utah has a couple of guys that can do that. Anyway, hit the comments if you enjoyed the video, if you like what we're doing on our channel. We are always trying to grow the conversation and bring more people in to talk. That's what we're doing. We're passionate about sports, and we want to talk sports with as many people as we can. So that's our goal. Hit us up. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button, so that more people can view these videos. Because the more people that subscribe, the more people that like our videos, the more the people out there can find them, and then that will increase our chances of having conversation with people, which is what we're trying to do. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found something interesting. Or what would be really great is if you could tell me something interesting that I don't know about the Pac-12 teams. That'd be my biggest goal from this video. Anyway, that's the video for today. We'll see you next time. Thanks.